So they have to head to the main hall, make a left, go for the 3 banks of single escalators. If you've gone so far you find the single bank of 3 escalators, you've gone too far, you need to turn around. If you find the single bank of 3 escalators on the left-hand side...
Porked up white boy with a little bit of swag, busted down sexual style, is he considered goated?
Well, howdy, nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this, a brand new day. Indeed, it is a new day. It is, well, it's light outside, it's raining. I haven't been wheezing and hacking too much, but I have been wheezing and hacking. So, joy on that. Gotta love, like, fungus in the air. Yay. Well, fungal spores, not the actual fungus itself. I did find out that you cannot overcook mushrooms. There was this person who, in a video that I watched yesterday, put in a cut of meat, a bit of zucchini, and a piece of mushroom into a steamer and cooked it for 45 minutes. When it came out, the meat was dry, tough, and horrible. The zucchini was just mush, but the mushroom was perfect. Absolutely cuttable and sliceable and delicious as it had been. So you can't overcook a mushroom. I can't remember exactly why, but I think it has to do with the fact that it uses chitin instead of like plant fiber stuff for its cell walls. So thumbs up for that. Anyway though, front loading of videos. Hey, if you could toss me a like, that'd be very cool. If you could subscribe to the channel, that'd be very awesome. If you could leave me a comment, that'd be very, very cool. And of course, I would like to thank each and every one of my Patreon patrons. These literally beautiful and awesome people are, in fact, literally beautiful and awesome. Indeed, they help to keep me alive, they help to keep my pets alive, and I am greatly, greatly appreciative of that. I mean, I know I like being alive. I know my pets like being alive. Thank you so very, very much. If you would like to help me out and become a patron, there are links in wherever the show more happens to be for the video. Thumbs up for that. Front loading of videos over. Yay! So not a whole lot has happened. It was a lazy weekend. I watched videos. I played video games. I did as much creative thinking as I could, which isn't much during the daytime and such. And then I went walkies that night and then went to bed. Yay! I listened to music and I played games as stated. So I tried to do what I could. And, you know, it's a lazy weekend. And on lazy weekends, I don't do much. However, taking a look on my list, I do not have a lot past that's happened in my life, because not a lot has happened. I do want to start taking my video camera around town again now that I found my card reader, so that I can start recording some of the things that are in town. And like in this particular case, we have this one building that's, it's not abandoned, but no one can go in there. It has been... Oh, what is the word? It's got those red sheets and you can't go inside because it's unsafe. And when you go there, you see why. The front of the place where you used to go in is boarded up and plywooded, because down at the bottom where the building hits the sidewalk and all that, the wood is just entirely eaten away. You can see inside and through to the floor. No, not the floor, the ground inside that the building rests upon. The wood is just falling apart entirely through there. Same thing all up above. They've had to prop it up with plywood and such to keep the entire front from falling in. I want to take little camera pictures of stuff like that. I am fascinated by urban decay, and I'd love to go and investigate stuff like that, but on the other hand, I also don't want to die. Which also, I like watching caving videos because I wish I had ever been in a sort of position where I could have done stuff like that. These people are absolutely nuts. There's 2 people. They're called the Action Adventure Twins. I guess they're like brothers. But they'll find pits and caves and just go in them. One thing this fellow did that I'm glad that he stopped doing, but you can't trust other people's stuff that you find from other people coming in. If you put in, you know, your pythons into the rock and then you put your rope on it and then you leave your rock and rope on all, if you come across it later, you can't trust that. You don't just climb a rope that's hanging down. You don't know the condition of the rope. You don't know the condition of how it's put into the rock up there. A little bit, this guy was climbing a rope left by other people. He only went about 10 feet in the air and then came down, but oh boy. That's crazy. But yeah, just think, underneath your feet, you think it's solid rock. But these two just went off into the woods. And because on an old map, it was marked cave. And so they went there and they went inside, and it was just water falling into this thing that you had to get down into. And then it was like a 50-foot drop. And there were a lot of 50-foot drops all the way through this thing. The ground is not solid beneath your feet at all. And of course, it's just evidence of how long this stuff takes to happen, because they'll have just a little bit of a waterfall, water squirting out of a crack and falling down into a hole. And yeah, it's a 60-foot hole down that it's drilled through the rock through all this time. That's the only reason the hole is there. The flowing water dragged stuff away. It's absolutely insane. It's crazy. But they just kept going deeper, and it would open up into these huge wide areas, and then they'd have to crawl through areas where you barely fit. And of course, they're crossing over the stuff that's fallen off the ceiling. And in some cases, one of these things, they were going through an old mine where this gigantic sheet of shale had fallen from the roof down, and so you had to climb over the shale. This was a block that when it had fallen, it would have been tons upon tons upon tons. It was about 5 feet from, wide and about 30 feet long, and it came from your feet up to your chest. Had you been inside of that cave when it decided to go thunk? Oh well. And yeah, caving doesn't always end well. Stories I watched, this one thing with 3 things about what happened to people who went caving. One of them, the guy was pushing a ladder ahead of him, actually had a rope ladder behind him. But he got all the way down, found out that this thing couldn't work, came all the way back, pushed himself back up. He was going to hook his feet on the rope ladder so that his friends could pull him up. But at the angle, he couldn't get his feet around it, and it was so tight that they couldn't get to him. And they tried for, it seems like it was about a couple days to rescue him with the air going bad, until they had to call off the rescuing because of the flooding. And when they got back to the pit, well, he was gone. And then the other one, this poor fellow went and they lowered him down into this cave, and then things got caught and stuck and they couldn't pull him back up. And he died dangling in the air in the middle of nothing with this ice cold water spraying down on him. And he died of hypothermia. It was years later that they went in to try and get him. And by moving the rope that he was hung onto, that shook all the bones out of the harness that he'd been hanging in down to the bottom of the cave floor. So they had to go all the way in and down so that they can pick up all of his bones to bring them out. Yay! Caving is fun. Which it is, just you have to be the right kind of person and you have to be willing to take a risk. That kind of risk, But as well, this other thing that I watched, which is about what's going on with the Russian army, unfortunately, as bad and corrupt as like the U.S. military is, one of the big things that the military has is some slight accountability. Not much. The U.S. military has very, very little money accountability, but there is some. And because there's this accountability, while there is corruption, the corrupt people keep getting caught and supply chains continue. If the $1 billion is given from the people at the top, by the time it hits the boots on the ground people, $1 billion have been spent on equipment. From the stuff that I've been reading, what's going on in Russia, if they allocated $1 billion, immediately the person at the top that allocated would take their share, and then it would go down, and then they'd take their share. By the time it hit the boots on the ground people, that $1 billion was maybe getting some cardboard boots. So that's bad. And then The further thing, they had one of the best encrypted systems for communications in the world. Why aren't they using that encrypted system? Because they've been using unencrypted open radio, which has been a nightmare for them. Why? Their great encrypted system runs on 3G and 4G networks of the cell towers. And when the Russians went into the Ukraine, they started blowing up the cell towers. They couldn't access their own encrypted network because they blew up the infrastructure necessary for their network to run. No one told them, by the way, don't blow these things up. So they did. Don't blame the troops on this fashion. So many of Russian troops, as vile as they are and what they are doing, they are conscripts or convicts or people that don't want to be there. So many people are just literal criminals being rounded up, being told you can spend your life in prison or you can go fight. And in some cases, they're not even given the option. It's go fight. So, joy? Now again, I say you can't really take the blame away because they're doing wonderful things at the behest of the higher ups, which is why they're doing all the civilian casualties. Even though Russia's losing the war, if they destroy enough civilians, they can still break the spirit of the people that they've lost to. If you inflict enough horror and pain upon a civilian population, as they have done to nation after nation that they've been absorbing. So, I don't blame the Russian people. This is the people at the top. Life is life, though. I try not to speak or talk about too many current events because I want to talk about the stuff that I want to talk about, not the things that the world is trying to force me to talk about. Not that anyone watches or listens, and those that do, thank you so very much. It is greatly appreciated, honestly and sincerely. I talked about this on Twitter. I know with my neurotypicality, the thumbnails I make for my videos are almost calculated to turn people away. The titles I use are largely to amuse me first, and then I know how to edit technically. I can do good editing technically. I don't know how to edit my own stuff. I don't know how to make my stuff more cogent or punchy so that it comes off better. I don't know how to evaluate my own words. I can kind of do that with other people, but that's, again, where my neurotypicality shows up. I don't know how to human being that well. And I also spoke about this on Twitter because of that. Because I don't know how to human being as well as I should, along with my weird taste in thumbnails, which, they're not weird, they're just not what YouTube wants. With my refusal to have the kind of titles that YouTube wants, and then my inability on my end to know how to edit things properly, yeah, I know I am swimming upstream with my limbs tied behind my back, especially with the algorithms and the corporatization of YouTube. Yeah, I know this. But I am a one-person show. I don't have anybody else to bounce ideas off or do anything with, so I am doing my neurotypical dance in the midst of algorithms that don't like that. And I don't really want to change too much. I mean, I do want people to watch and listen, and I do like to amuse. I try to do my best to do that. But I don't know how to human being well, and it shows in my videos. Which I am. I was thinking about this last night. I am so much still a frustrated avant-garde videographer. Any of the ideas that I have for videos are weird. Sometimes off-puttingly weird, and not in the fun off-puttingly way. Like you go, oh, that's really strange and odd, but it's like, oh, sort of way. So, I don't know. life is life. There is some other stuff I did want to talk about, like this whole architectural horror thing that I have just brought up the other day and have been thinking on further. I've got an actual story that I've been working on where this one person gets caught up in it. They have to enter the building. They talk to somebody, their card to sign in doesn't work, and with the system change, you got to have both your card that there and the input stuff so that it collaborates and works together, and the person they're working with is trying to get their supervisor because this doesn't work and it keeps happening. But there's been an upgrade in the phone system. They keep getting to Ben. They don't want to talk to Ben. And so what they're going to have to do, you need to go talk to Alan. Alan's been our go-to until this is all fixed up. You need to talk to Alan. He'll get your card fixed up. They call Alan. They can actually get through. He says, oh yeah, send him down. We'll get him in the system. That's fine. That's great. They'll be out of here before noon. So they have to head to the main hall, make a left, go for the 3 banks of single escalators. If you've gone so far you find the single bank of 3 escalators, you've gone too far, you need to turn around. If you find the single bank of 3 escalators on the left-hand side, again, wrong direction, you need to turn around. If you go so far you see the single bank of 3 escalators, again, and if you find the double bank and then the single bank, or the single bank and then the double bank, you need to ask for further directions. You're in the entirely wrong section. So you go until you find the 3 single banks, take the first escalator, and then when you're at the top, you want to make the sharp left. You don't make the drifting left. Don't take that hallway. Don't take the wide left. That's the wrong hallway as well. The very sharp left, wrong direction. Take the sharp left. Follow it down until you get to the yellow offices. That's going to seem confusing. Stick to the left-hand wall. You will reach waiting room B. Wait there for Alan. Guess what happens from there? At the very least, they don't make it to waiting room B. And I've opened up 24 hours worth of comments in my community tab. I'm going to go through and thank the very few number of people that have left me comments in the past 24 hours. Anything more than 0 was awesome, so thank you. If I pronounce your username, no disrespect is intended, American English speaker, and even though I count American Sign Language, well, you've already seen how my brain works. So, we have Confused Owl 29. Tune in. Used to be for like the radio or tuning in on the television dials. So yeah, it's a boomer phrase, but it's one of those that it means whatever you want it to anymore. And Kenneth Silver went thumbs up, and thank you. Jesse Koskinen. Oh boy, you really would like the game Amid Evil. I'm going to have to start playing that one again once I'm done with Dusk. It's a good one. And Kayoshi, thumbs up, and an underscore after as well. Thank you. I don't know how to pronounce this. B-O with a slash through it. G-D-E-G-U-T-T-E-N, who shouts, it's Norwegian, but is very cool. Thank you very much for the comment. We have Ben B, greatly appreciated. Oh, and by the way, for Jesse Koskinen, I do not have a particular favorite movie, but I do like right now Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And one thing I've consistently liked is Clockwork Orange. Then we have Lord of Sadness, thumbs up, and thank you. IXCICNESS, who has an idea that's probably not bad, but I think is using the words wrong. But thank you, each and every one of you. 8 people who left me comments in the past 24 hours. You got me out of my head and into the world and dealing with real people, if only in text. And if only for a short time. I am salivating so madly around these plastic pebbles in my mouth. Yay, I'm a samurai. And of course, with my hands in the air, don't know what device you're watching this on, but inside of the video description, I have links to all of my various channels, as well as my Twitter, my Facebook, my Patreon, and again, I would like to thank each and every one of my Patreon patrons. These literally beautiful and awesome people, again, are literally beautiful and awesome. The cost of living increases do not keep up with actual inflation. Without these people's help, I would be hosed like a literal Christmas monkey. And trust me, that's not a good way to get hosed. So thank you. And if you'd like to help me out without becoming a patron, I do have a PayPal link. And if you'd like to help me out without sending money, I have an Amazon wishlist link with stuff like cat food on it. So if you could check that out, that'd be very cool. Don't feel obligated. I don't feel entitled. And if you cannot or you do not donate, I take all good wishes and I deposit them in the bank of my heart where I draw interest. And if you could toss me a like, I appreciate all the positive validation I get from my existence. And if you could subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, thumbs up, and thank you. Oofda. I've got things that I would like to get done. I've got phone calls that I would hopefully make. I need to start making those extra appointments that at the VA to take care of the stuff that I couldn't take care of last Thursday on my appointment. So who knows how many months this will all take, but at least I got the ball rolling, and that's a good thing. Hopefully you're going to get done the things that you would like to get done, but if you can't, remember it's okay. Survival is more important, and if survival means you have to hunker down to make it through the day, then you gotta hunker down to make it through the day. And of course, with the Cafefe bug raging, please, yes, it's on a slow decline, but we're coming up on small surges and spikes again, so take your precautions, be careful, get vaxxed, get your booster, be smart, don't be a casualty. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side. And I, quite frankly, think that's a very good thing.